The story you're about to see is not true. Some say it's a fable. Some call it a dream. Once upon a time, in a land as yet undiscovered by travel agents and terrorists, there existed a small village. The village lay in a green valley, surrounded by white mountains and purple clouds. A friendly river flowed through the fields and forests, and a gentle wind played with the flags and the farmers' faces. The people in the village were happy. Relatives minded their own business, and neighbors were considerate. The children were obedient, and the mother-in-laws were kind. There were no politicians and no plastics, no cable TV and no Coca-Cola. And so, the life flowed peacefully in the happy village in the hidden valley. Until one summer day, when people started noticing a slight change. The sun felt warmer, the snow peaks appeared thinner, and the river seemed angrier. And as the seasons changed, the weather turned mysteriously evil. And as the weather changed, so did the people. Smiles disappeared and frowns appeared. Tempers grew short and faces grew long. Food was scarce and arguments were many. And soon, things became so bad that the silver river disappeared into grey rocks, and the green fields disappeared into red earth. So the village chief called for the usual emergency meeting. But the villagers were too busy blaming the gods, the government, and the President of America to be bothered. Only a poor boy named Norbu came forward. So the village chief gave the usual speech of unfriendly statistics and incomprehensible agendas and said, "Norbu, my boy, you are our only hope. Save us from this evil spirit." Saying thus, he thrust the responsibility on little Norbu's unsuspecting shoulders and proceeded to do whatever village chiefs do in their spare time. So Norbu put on his warm cap, packed his piece of cold bread, and set out to save the village. He travelled across vast mountains of ice and great deserts of rock, through narrow precipices and steep cliffs. But like most good Samaritans, Norbu lacked the resources and the means. Soon, his food finished and his mineral water skin emptied. His spirit broken and his faith failing, he sank to his knees and began to weep. And when sorrow gave way to despair and tears gave way to silence, he heard a silver voice in his head. "You must travel to the wise sage of the mountains, who lives beyond the clouds and holds the answer to your quest." So Norbu picked up his courage and his cap and began to climb. He climbed till he could see his shimmering village, shimmering. And then he climbed till he lost it in a sea of clouds. He climbed and he climbed, and then he climbed a little more, until he saw the white walls of the monastery perched upon the mountain top, like a shining star fallen from the heaven. He jumped past the prayer wheels, climbed the zillion stone steps, and ran across the path in the sky until he reached a silent doorway shrouded in shadow. As he entered the chamber with trembling knees and a fluttering heart, he heard the master say, "So you are here. We have been waiting." A surprised Norbu thought, He knew that I am going to be here. Reading his mind, the master replied, "Everything happens for a reason, and every reason has its own purpose. It is simple to look into the future once you understand the laws of cause and effect." Nobu cried, "Master, we have a big problem. Our whole world is being destroyed." The master looked at the boy and smiled. He asked the boy to open his palm and, placing a few small seeds on it, said, "There, that's the solution to your problem." Nobu asked, "How can a small seed save us from such a large calamity?" The master replied, "Each small seed contains a whole tree in it, and each tree contains 1,000 seeds, which contain 1,000 trees, which contain 1,000,000 seeds. Once the trees return, your problems shall leave." Nobu said, "So these are magic seeds?" "No, my son. These are ordinary seeds and will bear ordinary trees." "What if the seed doesn't bear a plant? What if the plant dies before turning into a tree?" Patiently, the master replied, "The real power to save your people is not in this seed, it is in you. And the real seed is the idea that I have planted in your head. It is that which you must grow. It is that which you must spread." Nobu has planted his seed last month. The story you saw is not true. Maybe it's a fable. Maybe it's a dream. Or maybe it's a possibility that shall come true someday. After all, the idea has been planted in your head too.